And so now you have to figure out how you're going to handle that. And at 5'5", I've always handled it just for your nose has to face his. Just for that one time.
Just that one time.
For that one last mistake. That one last...
When Katt Williams speaks, people listen, and this time, he didn't hold back. What started as a simple sit-down turned into a full-on truth bomb about Steve Harvey, the comedy world, and what really goes on behind all those smiles and motivational speeches. So grab your seat, because by the end of this video, you're going to see both of these men and the whole Kings of Comedy era in a completely different light.
In one room, all wondering the same thing. Is Katt Williams going to show up? Oh, he's right there. There he is. I didn't know he was right there. I would not have said that if I had seen that. I'm nervous as hell right now.
It all started when Katt Williams sat down with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay. Everyone expected jokes, stories, and a few laughs, but what they got instead was raw honesty. Katt wasn't there to clown around. He was there to clear the air. He started talking about how the industry had changed, how some people pretend to be real but are really playing both sides. And then, without warning, he dropped Steve Harvey's name. The room froze. You could almost feel the air shift. Katt said, "You can't call yourself the king of comedy when your whole career is built on stealing from other comedians." There was no punchline, no laughter, just silence, because everyone knew right there something serious had been said.
That?
Nope.
It's not good for the country. Who does that? Yeah, your team got an offense and a defense. They're not supposed to be enemies. The enemy is the other side.
Thanks.
Never talk about it. I'm not that controversial.
See, Steve Harvey has always carried himself as the wise uncle of Hollywood, the man who preaches about faith, success, and staying humble. But according to Katt, there's another side that the world never got to see. Katt claimed Steve built his career not through originality, but by taking other people's ideas and polishing them into his own.
President Trump, I'm gonna give the man this. The man was very congenial. As we just show me what I can understand, because right now I don't.
All right. Go on and collect.
Kamala Harris for president.
Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless. When 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week.
And for comedians, that's the ultimate insult. In the world of stand-up, stealing jokes or routines isn't just wrong, it's unforgivable. That's like taking someone's soul. Katt wasn't the first to say it either. Years ago, comedian Mark Curry, yeah, the same Mark Curry from Hanging with Mr. Cooper, accused Steve Harvey of doing the exact same thing. Mark said he turned on the Steve Harvey show one day and saw his own material being used. His routines, his characters, his punchlines, everything. When he confronted Steve about it, Steve just laughed and said, "That's show business." And that, right there, told a lot of people everything they needed to know. Steve wasn't just inspired by other comics, he allegedly used their shine to build his own success. But Katt brought all that back up. But this time, it hit harder because he came with details and history. He reminded everyone how Steve Harvey wasn't always the clean-cut TV host we see today. Back in the day, he was grinding in the clubs, doing comedy shows, and working the same circuits as guys like Bernie Mack, Cedric the Entertainer, and D.L. Hughley. When they all came together for the Kings of Comedy tour, it was magic. That lineup changed comedy forever. But according to Katt, Steve used that tour as a stepping stone, while others stayed true to the craft. Katt said Bernie Mac was the real king, the one who didn't fake it, didn't play games, and didn't sell out. He said Bernie was the one the people truly loved, the one who connected because he was real. When Bernie Mac passed away, the world mourned. But not long after, Steve seemed to step right into the spotlight Bernie had left behind. That didn't sit right with a lot of people. Even D.L. Hughley once hinted that there were creative differences between Bernie and Steve before Bernie's death.
And being on the front, do you have any aspirations of being a political figure?
I like pussy and liquor too much. I do. Interesting things, and I think about this all the time, is from the time Bernie passed till now, certainly I think society has changed. The way they digest entertainment has changed. So I think it would have been difficult. I think a lot of people would have had a hard time with some of the things that Bernie said and tended to things.
But now, with Katt's comments, fans are wondering if those differences were actually something much deeper. Katt straight up said Steve used Bernie's passing as a way to claim the crown and rewrite comedy history. That one hit hard. Because if there's one thing fans agree on, it's that Bernie Mac was the people's champion. He didn't need Hollywood polish. He was raw, honest, and real. And that's the point Katt kept making, that Hollywood rewards the polished image, not the genuine soul. Steve Harvey, to him, became a perfect example of that. He said Steve turned into a brand, a character, someone who plays nice on camera but moves differently behind the scenes.
And them people are saying, because if you are, then you deserve a special. And if you don't, you're going to find out you're not special. They're going to let you be a star, Lil Rel, but you ugly. and white people don't believe in ugly stars.
You and Katt had some back.
Katt said, you can't go on TV preaching about God and integrity when your career was built on taking from others. That wasn't hate. That was a challenge. It was Katt calling out what he saw as hypocrisy. Then, Katt touched on Steve's past controversies. The messy divorce, the leaked emails where Steve allegedly told his staff not to speak to him or look at him. The same man who tells the world to be humble and thankful was, according to those leaks, acting like he was above everyone around him. Katt said Steve's biggest skill wasn't comedy, it was manipulation. He knew how to play the game, how to charm an audience, how to talk about faith and struggle, while quietly doing things behind the curtain that didn't match the words coming out of his mouth. And let's not forget Monique. Remember her? She's another comedy legend who once said Steve Harvey turned his back on her when she needed support. She said Steve told her, it's not about integrity, it's about the money game. Back then, people thought Monique was just bitter. But now, with Katt's words out in the open, that old interview is resurfacing everywhere. Suddenly, that quote doesn't sound like drama, it sounds like a warning. The internet exploded after Katt's interview. Social media lit up with fans divided down the middle. Some said Katt was bitter, jealous, and trying to tear another black man down, but others said he was finally saying what everyone had been thinking for years. Comment sections were full of people pulling old clips, comparing old interviews, and pointing out moments when Steve seemed shady or dismissive towards other comedians. People even started noticing how Bernie Mac sometimes looked uncomfortable on stage with Steve, like something wasn't right. And once the internet starts connecting dots, it's game over. You can't PR your way out of that. You can't post your way out of that. Fans are starting calling for Steve's networks to drop him, for his sponsors to step back. They're comparing him to other talk show hosts who got exposed after years of pretending to be kind and positive. The vibe around Steve Harvey shifted overnight. The warm uncle energy was gone, replaced with doubt and side eyes. Behind the scenes, reports say Steve's team started scrambling. Crisis.
Understand that, okay, if I do this, it's going to be more trouble than it's worth.
That's right.
You know, so.
Meetings, canceled appearances, trying to figure out how to repair the damage. But how do you fix something when the people don't believe you anymore? Steve's strength was always his credibility. He wasn't just a comedian, he was a storyteller, a motivator, a preacher of positivity. But once people stop trusting your words, all that motivation starts sounding fake. Katt didn't
Asking stuff in America because he's going to make America great again. Let's go, Donald Trump.
just criticize. He exposed patterns. He said Hollywood loves fake smiles and safe personalities. They push people who they can control, people who won't challenge the system. And he said that's why people like Bernie Mac, Monique, and even himself get sidelined, because they speak too much truth, because they don't play the fake game. He said they pick who they can control and call them stars. The rest of us get labeled difficult. That line hit the internet like lightning. Fans are starting quoting him everywhere. Steve ain't one of us anymore. He's a brand. That's what Katt said. And when you look at Steve's career now, the shows, the endorsements, the suits, the perfect smile, it starts to make sense. Somewhere along the way, the comedian who used to talk about real life turned into a product, a perfect image for daytime TV. But people love Katt because he's messy, he's honest, he's unpredictable, he's human. That's what connects with folks. And through all of this, Steve's been silent. For a man who loves talking, that silence is loud. No video defending himself, no interviews trying to clear the air, nothing. Insiders say he's furious behind closed doors, But silence in the public eye makes it look like guilt. The longer he stays quiet, the more people believe what Katt said.
Steve Harvey is scared.
We was in Portofino, we had finished dinner one time. We walking back to go get on this boat. Hey, you're Samuel Jackson.
Fans are digging up old interviews, old stories, old beefs, everything. They're connecting pieces that were always there but never made sense until now. And even Steve's
rail into a small package and sit it inside of Kevin Hart, and then tie it up with a Gerard Carmichael and plant.
Famous motivational quotes are being turned into memes now. People are posting, "If you live long enough, the truth about you will come out," which is something Steve himself once said, and now it's haunting him because that truth finally caught up. For years, Steve's image was spotless. He was the example of what success looks like. But Katt Williams reminded the world that image doesn't always equal integrity. And here's the craziest part. Katt didn't sound angry in that interview. He didn't yell or curse or clown. He was calm. He sounded like a man who'd been waiting years to finally tell the truth. He said, "I respect real. Even if you don't like me, keep it real. But don't act holy when your whole career been built on hustle and hypocrisy." That line right there summed up everything. It wasn't hate. It was a challenge. It was Katt calling out what he saw as hypocrisy. The ripple effect has been huge. Every talk show, every entertainment blog, every podcast has been covering it. People are rewatching the kings of comedy and noticing moments they never caught before. They're realizing how different each of those comedians were. Bernie Mac was the heart. Cedric the Entertainer was the charisma. D.L. Hughley was the voice of reason. And Steve Harvey? Well, now people are wondering what he really was. Even celebrities have started chiming in. Some are defending Steve, saying he's done too much good to be torn down like this. Others are quietly liking posts that support Katt. You know how it goes. Silence speaks louder than words. The whole industry feels tense, like everyone's waiting to see if Steve will respond. But what can he say? If he denies it, people will call him a liar. If he admits it, his career takes a hit. Either way, the damage is already done. And the truth is, this isn't just about Steve Harvey. This is about how Hollywood treats authenticity. It rewards the polished version, not the real version. It rewards people who play the game, even if it means stepping on others to climb higher. Katt called it out not just for himself, but for everyone who's ever been overlooked because they wouldn't fake it. That's why this moment hit the culture so hard. Because deep down, people are tired of perfection. They want truth. They want the raw, unfiltered, unpolished side of fame. And now the question everyone's asking is, can Steve Harvey come back from this? Or did Katt Williams just expose something that can't be repaired? Either way, this story is far from over. Stay tuned, because whatever comes next, it's going to change how fans see not just Steve, but the whole comedy world. Thanks for watching till the end. You already know, this one's just getting started.
And the deeper this story goes, the more layers keep unfolding. Because now, people aren't just talking about Katt Williams versus Steve Harvey. They're talking about what this moment represents. It's like the curtain's finally being pulled back on an industry that's built on image, not truth. Every comedian, actor, and celebrity knows that Hollywood has its favorites, and those favorites usually aren't the realest ones. Katt just said out loud what most people are too scared to admit, that sometimes talent and truth get ignored because they don't fit the Hollywood mold. Fans are starting to see the pattern. Bernie Mac was outspoken, he didn't bite his tongue, and even though he was loved by millions, Hollywood didn't give him the same spotlight Steve got. Monique spoke her truth and got labeled difficult. Katt did the same and got called crazy. But Steve? He played the game, stayed quiet when he needed to, smiled when it was required, and built an empire off it. That's the part that burns people. Because when you think about it, it feels like being fake gets rewarded while being real gets punished. Now that Katt's words are out there, fans are revisiting everything. They're replaying old Kings of Comedy interviews, looking at body language, listening to tone. There's even one clip going viral where Bernie Mac talks about being himself no matter what. Fans are saying it sounds like Bernie was low-key throwing shade at Steve even back then. Another clip shows Cedric the Entertainer joking about how Steve always wanted to be the boss of everything, and now people are looking at that differently too. It's wild how the internet can turn old moments into brand new revelations. And you know how social media works. Once something catches fire, it doesn't stop. TikTok, Instagram, X, YouTube, everywhere you look, there are clips, edits, and breakdowns of what Katt said. Fans are quoting lines like, "Steve ain't one of us anymore. He's a brand," and "You can't call yourself a king when you built your castle on somebody else's work." These quotes are trending because they hit deep. They're not just about Steve, they're about how fame can change people, how money can twist morals, and how success can make you forget where you came from. Even comedians who've stayed quiet for years are starting to post cryptic messages. One comic said, "Some of us been knowing the truth." Another said, "God don't sleep." It's like everyone's suddenly comfortable saying what they couldn't before. That's the power of someone like Katt. Once he opens his mouth, the truth spreads fast because it comes from experience. He's been through the ups and downs, the fame, the backlash, the struggle. So when he talks, it doesn't sound like gossip, it sounds like testimony. And let's be honest, Katt has nothing to lose at this point. He's already proven himself 100 times over. From Pimp Chronicles to Friday After Next to his iconic stand-ups that people still quote to this day, Katt's legacy is set. He doesn't need clout or validation. He's got respect. That's what makes his words so powerful. When a man with nothing to prove starts telling the truth, people listen differently. Meanwhile, Steve's silence keeps getting louder. Normally, Steve would have jumped on his radio show or talk show to address rumors. He'd laugh it off or flip it into a motivational moment. But not this time. The fact that he's this quiet has everyone thinking there's more to the story. Reports say his publicists and PR team are working overtime, but nothing they say can undo the damage of a truth that feels real. Fans can feel when something is genuine, and this time, Katt's story feels too detailed, too grounded to just be hate. Some insiders are even whispering that Steve's relationships with other industry figures have started to strain. People he used to joke with, collaborate with, or call friends are suddenly keeping their distance. That's how fast the Hollywood machine can turn. One day you're everyone's mentor, the next day you're radioactive. The thing about credibility is, once it cracks, it never really gets fixed. You can polish it, but the lines always show. Fans online are now demanding that Steve own up to the past. The old accusations, the borrowed routines, the way he allegedly treated people behind the scenes. They're saying if he's really the man of faith he claims to be, he should face it head on. But if he stays silent, people will believe the worst. Either way, the pressure is on. And now people are asking, where do the other kings of comedy stand in all this? Cedric the Entertainer and DL Hughley haven't said much. Cedric, known for keeping things light, seems to be steering clear of the drama. DL, who's usually vocal on social issues, hasn't addressed it directly. But fans are watching their every move, because silence in Hollywood sometimes speaks louder than words. If none of them step up to defend Steve, it might mean they know there's truth in what Katt said. Meanwhile, the public's opinion of Bernie Mac is only growing stronger. People are celebrating his legacy like never before. His old interviews are going viral, his jokes are being shared everywhere, and his honesty is being praised as something the comedy world desperately misses. It's almost like Katt's words gave Bernie his flowers all over again. Fans are saying Bernie was the real king, and no matter what happens next, that crown seems to be shifting in people's hearts. Even Monique's story is getting new life. Back when she spoke out about being blackballed, nobody wanted to listen. Now everyone's pulling up her old interviews where she said Steve told her to play the game instead of standing on principle. Those clips are blowing up again, and fans are connecting the dots. They're realizing that maybe Monique wasn't crazy either. Maybe she was telling the truth the whole time, just like Katt is now. And that's what makes this moment so powerful. It's not just about one man being called out. It's about a shift in how we view fame and fame itself. For years, people looked up to Steve Harvey as a symbol of success, the man who turned struggle into triumph. But now the same fans who once cheered for him are asking, was it all an act? That's the worst kind of downfall. When people don't hate you, they just stop believing in you. Katt Williams didn't need to scream to be heard. His calm, confident tone said everything. He came with facts, stories, and years of frustration. And what really hit home for fans was when he said, "God don't like ugly, but he sure got patience." That one line went everywhere because it summed up how people feel. That maybe it took years, but the truth finally caught up. Behind the scenes, Steve's world is under a microscope. Producers, sponsors, and networks are all watching closely to see how the public reacts. Long term, if the backlash doesn't calm down, contracts could be reviewed. That's how serious this has gotten.
Because Hollywood doesn't like controversy that hits close to the brand image. And Steve's brand has always been built on being wholesome, wise, and funny. If that image fades, so does the demand. Still, some people believe he'll bounce back. They say Steve is too powerful, too connected, too smart to let this destroy him. And maybe they're right. He's faced scandals before and managed to turn things around. But this time feels different. Because this time, it's personal. This time, it's not about a mistake or a rumor. It's about character. Katt didn't just question Steve's work. He questioned his soul. He questioned whether the man we've been watching for years is even real. That's not something you can fix with a PR statement. That's the kind of wound that sticks. What's happening right now feels like a cultural moment, a shift in who we trust, who we believe, and who we call our heroes. It's a shame that audiences are smarter now. They don't just take everything at face value. They dig deeper, they research, they compare, and they call out hypocrisy when they see it. That's the power of the internet generation. No more blind loyalty. People want receipts. And Katt brought them, not on paper, but through stories that matched what others have said for years. His details lined up with what Monique said, with what Mark Curry said, and even how Bernie Mac's story ended. When multiple voices from different times start saying the same thing, it's hard to ignore. Still, there's another side to this. Some people feel sad about it. Because no matter what, Steve Harvey has inspired millions. His rise from stand-up to worldwide fame gave people hope. He told stories about faith, about never giving up, about second chances. And even if some of that was image, it helped people. So for many fans, watching his image crumble feels personal. It's like finding out your role model might not be who you thought they were. But that's also what makes Katt's words so necessary. Because truth isn't meant to destroy. It's meant to reveal. Sometimes you have to break the illusion to get to something real. And maybe that's what's happening right now. Maybe this is less about tearing Steve down and more about reminding everyone, including him, that authenticity still matters. Hollywood can be a cold place. It builds people up fast and tears them down even faster. But at the end of the day, the only thing that survives is the truth. And that's what Katt stood on. The truth. He's not perfect, but he's real. And right now, realness is what the culture is craving. As this story keeps unfolding, one thing's certain. The comedy world won't look the same again. Every comedian, every actor, every host is watching this situation closely because they know that if the truth can catch up to someone like Steve Harvey, it can catch up to anyone. So maybe this isn't just a fall. Maybe it's a lesson. A reminder that no matter how high you climb, the truth always has a way of finding you.
Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless.
You can build an empire, wear the best suits, and give the best speeches, but if your foundation isn't real,
and doing
one
5
honest
shows
voice
a week
can shake it all. And right now, that honest voice is Katt Williams. Because when everyone else stayed silent, he chose to speak. When everyone else played the game, he told the truth. And no matter how people feel about him, you can't deny. That kind of courage changes the game forever. So, if you've watched this far, you already know this story is way bigger than comedy beef. It's about real versus fake, truth versus image, and standing on what's right, even when it's not popular. Keep watching, because this storm is still unfolding, and it's only going to get more real from here.